Hello everyone. In this video, let us learn how to create a user-defined function in Excel using VBA. Probably one of the coolest benefits of learning VBA is the ability to create your own functions. Now, in Excel, there are more than 450 functions, and some of them are highly useful in your daily work. But Excel gives you the ability to create a custom function using VBA. Yes, you get it right. User defined function, in short UDF, or you can also call it a custom VBA function. And there is one thing that I can say with confidence: every aspiring VBA user wants to learn to create a user defined function. Don't you? Say yes in the comment section if you're one of those people who want to create a custom function. I'm excited to tell you that this is a complete guide to help you create your first custom function using VBA, and apart from this, I have shared some examples of user-defined functions in the video. Now, I will warn you something that here I'll be using the words user-defined function, custom function, and UDF interchangeably. So stay with me, you're going to be a VBA rockstar in the next couple of minutes. Now, why you should create a custom Excel function? As I said, there are a lot of inbuilt functions in Excel, as you can see here. Now, these can help you to solve almost all the problems and do all kinds of calculations. Now, let us look at an example of a function. Now, I'm writing is equal to, and I'm writing sum of 1 and 2, and I'm closing the bracket and clicking enter. I got the answer as 3. So whenever I want to add two numbers or add many numbers, I can use the function sum. Now, but sometimes in very specific situations, you need to create a user-defined function. And in the video, I have listed some of the reasons or situations in which you need to go with a custom function. Let's look into those. When there is no function for this, this is one of the common reasons for creating a UDF with VBA, because sometimes that you need to create something and there is no specific function for this. I can give you an example of counting words from a cell for this. Now, suppose I have some words in this cell. That is, there is a word in this cell. Okay, there are many words in the cell. Now, I want to count the number of words inside this particular cell. Now, I do not have any function for that. Now, I can create a user-defined function to count the number of words in a cell. Now, next example that comes to my mind is when you want to replace a complex formula. If you work with formulas, I'm sure you know this thing that complex formulas are hard to read and sometimes harder to understand by others. So a custom function can be a solution to this problem, because once you create a UDF, you don't need to write that complex formula again and again. Now, the third reason I can think of is when you don't want to use subroutine. While you can use a VBA code to perform a calculation, but VBA codes are not dynamic. You need to run that code again and again if you want to update your calculation. But if you convert that code into a function, then you don't need to run that code again and again, as you can simply insert it as a function. Now, all the theory parts are over. Let's get into learning how to create your first user-defined function in Excel. Okay, so look, I have split the entire process into three steps in this video. That is, declaring your procedure as a function, defining its arguments and their data type, add code to calculate this desired value. Let us look. You need to create a function that can return the name of the day from a date value. So in the example I have in the sheet, I have a list of dates here. Now, I want the day of this date. That is, for example, if today is 15th of November 2022 and 15th of November is a Tuesday. So I want it to return which day this date belongs to. I do not have a function in Excel for doing this. I have a function called day, which is equal to day, and if I select this value, it will return which day it is, that is 21. So I do not have a function to get which date it is, right? Now, let us create a function so that I'll get the day of the date that I'm putting inside the formula or the function. So let's follow these steps to create your first user-defined function. First of all, open your Visual Basic Editor by using the shortcut key Alt plus F11, or you can go to the Developer tab and simply click on the Visual Basic button. I have clicked on it. Now, the next thing is to insert a module. So right click on the VBA project window. If this window is not visible to you, you can go to View and click on Project Explorer. Now it is already visible here. Now you can right click on here and click on Insert and select Module. I'll tell you why we are entering the code in the module. Now, you need to enter a user-defined function only into standard modules. Sheet and this workbook modules both are a special type of module. And if you enter a UDF in these two modules, Excel does not recognize that you're creating a user-defined function. So whenever you are writing a function, always try to write it inside a module rather than writing in the sheet one or the workbook place. Now, the third thing is to define a name for the function. And here I'll use the term my day name. The reason why I use the term my day name is because I want to convert the name into the day name. Sorry, the date into the day name. That's why I am using the term my day name. Now, you can use any term you want to use. You should make something that is very relatable to the users so that they'll understand this particular function is about it. For example, for adding some numbers, we use the function sum. So just by seeing the term sum, we'll understand that it is for adding things. Now, here we have to start writing by function and the name which we are going to give. My day name without any spaces. Now, why function before the name? As you're creating a VBA function, so the using the word function tells Excel to create this code as a function. Now, after that, you need to define arguments for your function. So, insert starting parenthesis. I open the bracket, this is a starting parenthesis, and let us write input data as date. Now, here input data is the argument's name and date is its data type. It's always better to define a data type for the argument. Now let's close the parenthesis here and write as string. Now here you're defining the data type of the result returns by the function. And as you want a day name, which is a text, so its data type should be as string. If you want to have the result which is other than a string, make sure to define its data type according to that. Now, function my day name input as date as string. In the end, let us hit enter. At this point, your function's name, its argument's data type, and function's data type is defined. And you have something like this on your screen. Now, within the function and the end function, you need to define the calculation, or you can say working of this user-defined function. Let us give some space in between here so that you can see it clearly. Now, in Excel, there is a worksheet function called text. Now, I'll show you what text function is. Here, I can use a formula to find the day, that is equal to, if I put text and I'm selecting this value, comma, and I'm writing d, closing the inverted commas, closing the parentheses, and clicking enter, I'll get the name of this. But this is not a function, it is a formula because I'm using my custom formula arguments here, right? Now I have to create a function for it. So let us use this text function inside the code. Now, for this, you need to write the code inside this, and with this code, you are defining the value which should be returned by the function. The function we have here is my day name. Now, I'm putting the value to this function. My day name is equal to worksheet function dot text in bracket input data, comma, inside double inverted commas we can write D D D D D D. So 6 Ds. If I wanted the format to be only year or only months, I can use those things inside the text bracket. Now close the parenthesis. Now you can press enter. Now here it is done. Now let us close our VBA editor and go to our worksheet. Let us try writing is equal to my day name. As you can see, the Excel is suggesting us the function. Let's select that function, and inside the parenthesis let us select the data we want to return, A2, and close the parenthesis and hit enter. See, we got the value here. Let us drag this down until the list ends. See, we got the value like this. Congratulations, you have just created your first user-defined function. This is a moment of real joy, isn't it? Let's look at how this function works and return value in a cell. Your first custom function is here, but the thing is you need to understand how it works. If I say in simple words, it's a VBA code, but you have used it as a function procedure. Let's divide it into three parts. You enter it in a cell as function and specify the input value. Now, Excel runs the code behind the function and uses the value which you have referred to. You got the result in the cell. Now, but you need to understand how this function works from inside. So I have split the entire process into three different parts where you can see how the code which you have written for the function actually works. As you have specified, input date as the argument for the function, and when you enter the function in the cell and specify a date, VBA takes that date value and supply it to the text function which you have used in the code. And in the example which I have mentioned in the video before, the date you have in the cell A2 is 21st 6th month 2018. After that, the text function converts this date into a day using the format called DDDDDD. Now, which you have already mentioned in the function code, haven't you? And that day, which is returned by the text function, is assigned to the myDayName function. So if the result of the text function is Tuesday, that value will be assigned to the myDayName function. And here the working of the function comes to an end. MyDayName is the name of the function, so any value which is assigned to MyDayName will be the result value. And the function which you have inserted in the worksheet will return it in the cell. When you write a code for a custom function, there's one thing you need to take care that the value which that code return must be assigned to the function's name. Now, let us see how we can improve a user-defined function for good. Well, you know how to create a custom VBA function, but there is one thing you need to take care, that the code you have used to function should be good enough to handle all the possibilities. If you talk about the function which you just wrote, above can return the day name from a date. But what if the value you have specified will not be a date? And if the cell you have referred is blank? Let's see an example. See, as you can see, this particular cell is blank. Let me put here is equal to my day name, and I'm selecting this column here and I'm clicking enter. See, I got a value Saturday, but the column I referred to was blank. So this is a wrong thing, right? Now I'll type something else here. Automate data, and I'm putting here is equal to my day name, and I'm selecting this data and I'm closing the parenthesis and I'll click enter. See, I'm getting some random error here. Now, for a perfect function, you shouldn't be getting all these mistakes, right? there are can and there will be many other possibilities, but I'm sure you got my point, right? So let's try to improve this custom function which could be able to deal with the above problems. All right. First of all, let's go back to our VBA editor window. Click Alt plus F11 and yeah. You need to change the data type of the argument here. Now, input as variant. Input as variant. Now, with this, your custom function can take any kind of data type as input. Next, we need to use VBA is statement to check input date for some conditions. The first condition is if the cell is blank or not. So let's put here in the beginning of the function that if input data is equal to blank, okay, you need to put then, click enter, my day name is equal to blank. Now, this will make the function return blank if the cell you have referred is blank. One problem is solved. Let's get into the next one. Other than a date, there are possibilities that you can have a number or a text. So for this, you also need to create a condition which should check whether the value referred is an actual date or not. The code will be if is date inside bracket input data, that is if the input data is a date, is equal to false. So if the condition is that input data is not a date, then my day name is equal to blank. Now, here I am using a blank for both of the conditions so that if you have large data, you could easily filter values where the input value is not valid. So after adding the above conditions, the code would look like this. Now, let's also add the else condition here, that is else, and let us close the if conditions. So end if and end if. Done. Now, here's how it works now. I'm sure you can still make some changes in this function, but I'm sure you got my point clearly. Let's talk in the comment section if you want to make much more additional changes to this particular functions. Now, let's see how we can use this VBA function. At this point, you're pretty much clear about how you can create a VBA function in Excel. But once you have it, you need to know how you can use it. And in this part of the post, I'm going to share with you how and where you can use it. So let's jump into it. Simply within a worksheet. Now, why we create a custom function? Simple, to use it in the worksheet. You can simply enter a UDF in a worksheet by using an equal to symbol is equal to and type the name of the function and then specify its arguments is equal to my day name and let's specify the argument, that is this particular date. Close the parenthesis. Now, there are many other ways to do this. I'll tell you about that. But let's click enter here and I got the value Thursday. Right. Now, you can also enter a user-defined function from the function library. Go to Formula tab, Insert, Insert Function, and User-defined function. Now, I have only one user-defined function in my Excel application, so it is showing that directly to me, my day name. Here I can input what field I want. If I'm selecting A6, it will select A6 and I can click on OK. See, I got the answer Saturday because it is taking the day of A6, that is this day. Now, from this, you can choose the UDF you want to insert, but I had only one UDF, so I could directly take it. Now, let's also talk about using in other sub-procedures and functions. You can also use a function within other functions or in a sub-procedure. Now, let's look at an example here. I'll put some space. Yeah. Now I'm creating a new sub procedure, that is sub today day, and I'll click enter. Now my function is that message box today is, and I'll put the function my day name. Inside I'll put date, and click enter. See, it is done. Let's try and run it now. See, today is Tuesday, so it went with today's date. One another thing you have to learn about is accessing functions from other workbooks. If you have a user defined function in one workbook and you want to use it in another workbook or in all of the workbooks, you do it by making an add-in for it. Now, you have to follow the steps which I am going to show you. First of all, you need to save this file. So let us save this file and save as. And let's select a place for it. And now you have to save it as an Excel add-in workbook. So let us look where it is. See, we can save it as an Excel add-in workbook or .xlam, and I'll click save. So this was the part 1 of user-defined functions in Excel. In the next video, we'll learn about advanced user-defined functions. In that video, we'll talk about different ways to create a custom VBA function. Without arguments, with just one argument, with multiple arguments, using array as the argument, and so on. I hope you all like this video, and I request everyone to share this video with your friends.